welcome to Books Unbound, the podcast where we unbind books to get to their hearts. With your hosts, me, Ariel, and me, Raylene. Woo! So today we are doing our first ever video podcast. If you want to check out the whole thing, you can see it on Patreon. And there's highlights on my YouTube channel if you want to get a little taster and then dive right in. We're very excited today because this is the first podcast episode we've ever recorded in the same room.
Yeah, it feels weird.
But we're just going to be doing our normal song and dance. And on that note, Raylene, what are you currently reading?
Okay, so I just started this book yesterday. On the way up here, actually.
We both have tote bags today.
Oh, yeah. Check out our tote bags.
When we record, we never see what books we're talking about, and so we want to still keep it a secret.
It's a secret.
So she's just reaching into her tote bag.
Yeah, I'm going to have to dig around in this bag a bit. So, the book I'm currently reading is The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern.
Yeah, you are.
On the drive up here, I read the first 2 pages.
Perfect.
And was like, wow, this is pretty cool.
Well, last week this was the book that you bought.
Yeah.
How rare is that?
Exactly. I decided I don't want to wait. Also, one of my friends just started reading this, and she's like a third of the way in, and she said, this book is so good.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so I was like, you know what, fine, I'll just pick it up. I'll read it. So I've only read 15 pages? Oh, not even. 13 pages. But it's really interesting so far. It already is bouncing around between 3 different characters and different times, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
You said there's a pirate at the
There's
beginning?
a pirate who's locked in a cage.
Okay, I don't know if I'm a doofus, but when I read The Starless Sea,
Yeah.
I never even thought about the sea part. I just thought it was a very poetic title.
Right.
I had no connection to pirates, the ocean. Did you? Did you think The Starless Sea is going to be about the ocean?
So far I haven't seen the ocean, so I don't know if that's...
Well, like a pirate, though.
Yeah.
That's oceany.
I don't know, man. I know that there's lots of references to literature, which I've already seen. There's a mysterious society, which is what The Starless Sea is referencing, I think. But
okay.
it's pretty cool, but I've read 13 pages, so I can't really say much. But so far, it's classic Erin Morgenstern. It's very beautiful and nice. Well, that brings us into the next part, which is, what is the last book I finished reading?
Yes. Okay, well, the last book I finished is Sadie by Courtney Summers.
Yeah.
So, I really didn't think I was going to pick this one up. However, Courtney Summers has been on my radar for a while because she is one of the bigger Canadian YA authors. And so I was always like, I want to check out what she's up to, what is she doing? And I really didn't think I'd pick it up, but I heard amazing things about the audiobook.
Yes.
And as is always the case, I had an extra Audible credit. And I wanted to cancel my subscription, so I was like, I just need to buy a book so that I don't waste that credit.
Yeah.
And I decided to just go for this one. And here's my basic thought. I enjoyed the audiobook more than I enjoyed the story.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
So, the audiobook was so well produced. This book is about a girl named Sadie, obviously, whose sister, Maddie, has been killed. And she is basically on this rampage to find the person that did it and then kill them. Which is obviously very, intense. It felt very heightened for YA to me.
Yeah.
But, also, I've heard, Wilder Girls, there's all of these books, and, YA is getting edgy. Back when I was 15, this wasn't, the kind of YA that we
read
were
just
reading.
One Day.
Yeah, exactly.
That was what we read.
But in this search, you understand more about her character, about her life, that she had a really hard upbringing, that she didn't have a dad. Her mom was very stressful, to say the least. And so it was an interesting character study, but it's told from the framework of a podcast. So there's this guy who is, honestly, his name I forget, but he has a podcast where he is like a journalist sort of, and he's trying to find her and tell her story.
Yeah.
So because of that, the podcast or the audiobook was so cool because it sounded like this really well-produced podcast.
Yeah, it's like a true crime podcast that you get to listen to.
Exactly. I was just listening to a true crime podcast. Exactly. But then the actual story I was a bit less attached to. I didn't really like Sadie.
Yeah.
And I know I'm not supposed to technically. She's just a very hardened individual who has one mission and has become all encompassed by that. But I just never sympathized for her. I was never oh God, yeah. And in the end, I'm not going to spoil anything, but in the end, I left the book kind of being okay,
Yeah,
I want
sure.
another cool audiobook. But
Yeah.
I didn't think I want to reread this. Do you know what I mean?
No, totally.
So yeah, so probably 3 out of 5-ish kind of thing.
Yeah.
But bonus for the audiobook. Like, the audiobook was so
Agreed.
good.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been able to read it. Just reading it, I don't think.
Exactly.
I only read it because of the audiobook.
Alright, well, I'm not alone then.
No.
What was the last book you bought?
Ooh, okay. Let me go into my tote bag. This one's kind of fun. Okay, fun and very random. So this book is by Junji Ito, who is well known for Uzumaki and Tomi, books like that. So this is called Junji Ito's Cat Diary, Yang and Mu, and it's just some reflections on his cats and like funny stories told in manga form about his cats.
Cute.
And I bought this, one, because I love Junji Ito, but two, I'm trying to start a cat book collection. Because you have a section on your shelves about witches.
Yes.
And that inspired me. I was like, what do I want? And it was cats. So, I have this.
I love that.
I have the Traveling Cat Chronicles.
Yes.
I have... I bought another book that I can't remember what it's called right now,
Murakami
but
has a
I'll
lot
talk
of
about
cats, but they don't have cat in the title.
I know. It
So
doesn't have to be in the title. I just want
But-
books that are like focused around cats.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I love that.
Thank you. If anyone has any recommendations, please let me know.
Yeah.
Most of the books are Japanese, from what I've found. Like books that feature cats prominently.
I have found that
they're
too.
always Japanese.
Okay,
which
well,
I don't have a problem with at all.
We will post a photo of this on the Instagram,
Yeah.
so people will make sure to comment on that and let
I
Raylene
need
know
to
about
grow my collection.
cat books. Okay, well, the last book I bought, I am so excited about. Are you
Bring it
ready?
on. Whoa.
It is an Animal Farm graphic novel.
Oh my
Oh
god.
my god. So me and my boyfriend saw this in a bookstore a while ago, and I was like, I want it. He's like, I will get it for you next time.
Yeah.
And then it was ages before we went to another bookshop, but finally we went back, and it is so beautiful.
Wow, I love it.
It's obviously not an annotated version. What's it called when it's cut down? Abridged. It's an abridged edition. Like, they obviously don't have the entire
It's more
text.
like a picture book almost.
It feels like a picture book, but yeah, it has a lot less words, but kind of the pictures make up for the words that are missing. It's so beautiful, and I'm so excited to read it. Like, I literally, like, almost, I was sitting on the floor of the bookstore, and I was already on, like, page 8, and he was like, we have to go.
It's time to leave.
And I was like, ah!
My god.
Yeah.
Now all they need to do is make a Great Gatsby graphic novel for me.
I'm rooting for you.
That's what I want.
I'm really rooting for you. But I mean, I have the Anne of Green Gables one, so it's possible. The dream
Anything can happen.
The dream is alive. But yeah, I'm so excited about this.
That's so cool.
Very little has to be said. I love Animal Farm. It's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, we've already mentioned it like 3 times. On
Exactly.
The podcast. Yeah, just today.
All right. Well, it is time to jump into our recommendations.
It sure is.
Raylene's gonna pop these up on her iPad.
I sure am. High tech. If I can find them. Oh, this one is fun. So Sarah asks for a book where the main character or characters need to be resourceful and clever to get out of a bad situation. For example, there's a serial killer on the loose and they've got to escape. They've got to find a way. So I really liked that one.
That is a really good one.
Yeah. So this one was pretty easy for me. I have been wanting to recommend this book for a while, but couldn't think of the right moment.
And here it is.
And that is Misery by Stephen King.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So you haven't read the book, but you've seen the movie, right?
I have not read the book, but it is my favorite horror movie.
It's so good.
Or thriller movie? I don't know.
Yeah, it's like a horror thriller.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know,
I love this copy.
Isn't it beautiful?
Yeah, it is.
I love it. So this book is about a novelist named Paul. And he's just driving down the street one day, and his car crashes, and he basically passes out, and he wakes up in a strange place. He's in a room, he's, like, in a bed, and everything seems normal, but he's like, how did I get here? He thinks he's in a hospital, but then he's like, wait, this isn't a hospital. And essentially, his biggest fan was...
So stressful.
It's very stressful. His biggest fan, her name is Annie, right? Yeah. Annie, man, scary name. So she used to be a nurse, and so she took him in and is taking care of him.
Yeah, she found him.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to think, it's like, was that on, you're
it's
worrying,
like,
was that on
what are the
purpose?
chances that she found him?
Or was it not?
Yeah, and so it ends up being that she is obsessed with him and she wants him to write another book because he was planning on stopping. He writes kind of like a historical romance series and he's like, I'm done with this, I want to move on to something different.
Yeah.
And she gets angry about that.
She does not like that.
She wants him to write another book in the series because she is over the top obsessed, and so she kind of starts doing bad things to him, and he has a rough time.
Keeping him kidnapped in order to write this book.
And he doesn't want to
He doesn't want to write.
He doesn't want to.
And so he's just trying to escape. And it is So good. If you haven't seen the movie, please.
It's crazy. Yeah, but he has to be so very resourceful because in certain situations, like, he can't walk.
Yeah.
And so he's trying to escape, but he can't walk, and he can't, let her see what he's doing. And it's so stressful.
No, you're right.
Because every
It's
moment
perfect.
she's gone, he's just like, oh my god, I have like 5 minutes to try and figure out how to do this. And it's like, ah!
Yes.
So
it's a perfect recommendation for this because it is every time that he's alone, he's like thinking. He's like, okay, I've got to get these tools. I've got to do this thing so that ultimately in the end I can do the plan that will free me.
Exactly. And it's so intense and so good. This is one of my all-time favorite Stephen King books, and
that's really exciting.
I want everyone to read it.
I'm really excited that you like the book because it is, like I said, my favorite horror thriller movie, and so that makes me think I should start with that one. I've read his memoir and I love it, but I've never read one of his fiction books.
Yeah, just so you know, the book is also slightly more like gruesome than the movie.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, I read it and I was like, oh my god, and I watched the movie and I was like, that was tame. Still pretty gross, but good.
Well, this book, I'm very curious to hear if you've read it.
Okay.
I'm almost positive you have because I feel like every Canadian has read this book.
Oh my god, I know what it is.
It's Hatchet.
Yes! Yes!
Hatchet by Gary Paulson.
Oh, a great book.
So, this book is, I don't know, it's just forced upon us in school in Canada. I don't know if it is anywhere else.
It's not even Canadian. Like,
that's what I was going to ask. Is it Canadian?
No.
The guy's not Canadian.
No, but all my American friends I've talked to, and I tried to explain Hatchet to them, they're like, I've never even heard of that.
Well, but on the back it says he finds himself alone in the Canadian wilderness.
Gary is trying to trick everyone.
It's set in Canada. Well, basically, it's about this kid who is on a plane, and the plane crashes, and he's the only survivor. And he needs to survive in the woods.
And he's like, what, 14?
Yeah, I think he's 13.
13, my god.
He's a 13-year-old. I haven't read this since I was a kid, so I really don't remember, but I still remember loving it.
Oh, it was a good book.
This is not the edition that I read, but
the one with the guy's face on the cover?
Yeah. I wanted my mom to read it, and so I bought her this one, and this is like the one that they had in the bookshop. But yeah, it says, now Brian has no time for anger, self-pity, or despair. It will take all his know-how and determination and more courage than he knew he possessed to survive.
Amazing.
So it is maybe a very literal approach to what she's asking, like doing a book that you have to get your resources to survive. Mm-hmm. But it is so good.
It is so good. And it's a series, so.
Is it?
Yeah. There's like 5 books.
I had no idea.
Brian's Winter. The River.
Brian's
Return.
Oh,
There's a lot.
Well, the good thing is that it does work as a standalone.
Yeah.
Because I only read this book and I felt very satisfied within it.
Totally.
But yeah, it is very exciting. It's a children's book, but I would still read this. And my mom read it and she was like, it was exciting.
It's one of those classics that I think transcends age.
Exactly.
If you haven't read it as a kid, I think you could still enjoy it as an adult.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's my rec. But I remembered I had a bonus recommendation. Let me grab her for us all. It is, of course, The Hunger Games.
So much resourcefulness in this book.
Yeah. I'm excited to do a reread. Are you going to reread it?
I want to reread all 3.
So do I. Yeah. So do I. It's been a very long time.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we've done it. We've gotten to the end of the episode. It was very fun to do it in person.
Yeah.
This is good. This is very good.
This is a good thing.
Check out the Instagram. Definitely let Raylene know about some of your cat book recommendations.
I need it.
And thank you so much, as always, for listening to the podcast. We love making it. We'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.
Bye. I guess I should wait for the
video.